The Super Speedway Podcast is a Dream Bigger media production. For news, photos, show notes, and information about advertising on the podcast, visit www.thesuperspeedway.com.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
Noah, take us through your run today and what it was like racing on the road course there at Daytona.
It was a lot of fun. We ran up towards the front at the beginning of the first stage, and then I think we finished second in the first stage, and then started the second stage out in the lead and stepped on my ding-dong there in the kink and wrecked it pretty hard.
Welcome to episode 167 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Thursday, August 20th, 2020. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, I think that's the definition of our podcast, isn't it?
Oh, you took my joke. I had it lined up, and you nailed it. Nice work. Well done.
We do it every week here, and it has earned a spot on the soundboard now.
Stepped on my ding-dong there.
So we're all set with that. Noah Gregson. At least Noah didn't make any excuses for himself in the Xfinity race on Saturday.
Yeah, well, sometimes that's what happens. I mean, that's what we're doing, like you said, every week.
Every week. That's our job right here. So we appreciate you guys joining us and coming along for the ride. So it was the Go Bowling 235 this weekend at the Daytona International Speedway road course. Chase Elliott dominates, gets his 8th career Cup Series victory, second victory in 2020, and becomes the 6th driver in Cup Series history to win 3 or more consecutive road course races. James, he joins a group including Tony Stewart, who won 3 consecutive times in 2004 to 2005, Jeff Gordon, who won 6 from 97 to 2000, Rusty Wallace 3, 87 to 88, Tim Richmond 3, 86 to 87, and David Pearson 3, 76 to 77. That's some good company right there.
That Jeff Gordon 6 is just utterly ridiculous.
Right?
That's 3 years of nobody touching him on a road course.
Crazy.
That's incredible.
Crazy. And two road courses that are so different, too, between Sonoma and Watkins Glen.
Yeah, and Chase, what makes his more impressive is he's got these Roval type deals, figured out, man.
Oh, yeah.
He's got Charlotte knocked off the list. He's got Daytona knocked off the list, which, we'll probably get into it. Who knows if we ever come back.
Right.
But regardless, 3 completely different road courses. There's no repeats on the list. He's done it on 3 different ones. That's awesome.
Yep. Pretty impressive. Martin Truex Jr. was having a good day and then threw it away with a speeding penalty, put himself in the back, and never able to completely battle his way back up. He ended up finishing 3rd. Only led 10 laps, but 10 laps at Daytona is pretty long considering it's a 4-mile road course.
And since we're talking about Martin Truex Jr., can I give you his last few races since Kentucky?
Sure.
All right, here we go. I love doing this to you and slowing the podcast down to a screeching halt, by the way. So since Kentucky, he's run 2nd and then a 29th at Texas, and then he's ripped off, get this, a 3rd, a 3rd, a 3rd, a 3rd, and at Daytona, a 3rd.
Nice.
He has got a nice little streak going on here, so he can't quite get over the hump, but he's ripping off those 3rd places.
He's a sleeper right now, that's for sure.
He's creeping into the Brad Keselowski conversation, I think, a little bit with some of these runs he's been having, and that's been a great stretch for him.
Yeah.
Of consistency.
It was nice to see a race this weekend without Kevin Harvick winning.
Yeah, he looped it. He looped it around and got. There was kind of a funny little meme going around of him, with cars going on both sides, as he was kind of stuck there, nowhere to go.
He got a little assistance in that spin.
Yeah, he did.
Do you remember who spun him?
No, I can't recall, but he was up towards the front, obviously.
I want to say it was like DiBenedetto or LaJoie or somebody, one of those guys, or maybe it was. I think it was Christopher Bell, actually. I think Bell was the one who spun him.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I know Harvick asked over the radio who was it, and they let him know. So it may be some payback coming down the road for that one, but
I think he'll be just fine. He's how many? I mean, I read today that he's a handful of points away from clinching the regular season championship and even more playoff bonus points.
That's crazy.
So he'll be just fine. getting through Dover here in the next couple of races.
Yeah. Martin Truex Jr. has a good day, or winds up with a good day after a disappointing middle part. His teammate, not so much. Kyle Busch.
They battled. I was going to say, I thought you were going with the Denny Hamlin.
I'm
thing,
going with Kyle Busch first.
Yeah,
but
they had. I was going to say they had an awesome battle. I know
Yes,
Denny
they
finished
did.
second. But that was really great racing by those two teammates. But yeah, go ahead and go in on your Kyle Busch point, because
Yeah, so-
I'm mad at Kyle. So
Kyle Busch was terrible. He started up front. He ran one good lap and then flat spotted the tire in the inner loop, or the new chicane. Pitted to change the tire, and then things just got worse. The brakes went out on the car.
Jeez.
And then they went in and repaired it, came back out, the brakes went out again, and tore the tire up, put him in the wall, crashed on the back stretch. Just a terrible day. Ends up finishing 37th.
A no good, very bad day.
It is. He can't buy one right now, that's for sure.
No, he's in a weird spot, because it's been somewhat of a free fall.
Yeah.
Of late for Kyle. So it's just, we've talked about it, and I picked him to win, and I banked on him on my fantasy team, and I was all in on KB or KFB, having a great run and getting it together. I know he had some decent speed, and I think he'll be okay at Dover.
Yeah.
But boy, I don't know, man. I asked you a couple weeks ago if he's going to win a race this year, and he's just seems like I don't know, man. It seems like it's just not going to happen this year.
Yeah, it's looking pretty tough for him, that's for sure.
It's so weird.
It is. It's really strange, and it just goes to show you, I mean, how things can change in this sport, especially with the competition that we have right now. There's a lot of good drivers out there, and it doesn't take a whole lot to be off, and off just enough to be off a lot, and that's where Kyle is right now.
Did you see he's bringing back? They're going to slap his signature over the door instead of the Rowdy.
No, I did
Rowdy
not
Energy
see that.
logo. Yeah, he's changing it up. So I don't know if Rowdy Energy went out of business or not, but, he's slapping his name back up on the door.
I don't know. They've still been emailing me about deals to stock up for the weekend. So
the weekend,
I think
how much
energy is
how much
still good.
Rowdy Energy do you need for a whole weekend?
I don't know. I do still have one flavor that I haven't tried that's in the fridge from when I bought the 6-pack. So
what was that, February?
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like 20 years ago, James, with all this.
It was a pandemic ago.
Pandemic,
huh?
yeah. It had to be after Daytona, because it was when everything was. They were talking about.
One of my
Rowdy
favorite
Energy so
things
much
you've
more.
ever stopped and said to me was, "Hey James, I bought some of that Rowdy Energy, and it wasn't very good."
No,
I
it
think
was all right. No, it was good. It depended on the flavor. A couple of the flavors were okay. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but I mean, so here's the deal. I went back and I had some Monster Energy too, because I just figured I might as well, if I'm gonna kill myself, I might as well do it the right way.
and support your favorite sport and
Yeah,
while you're doing it.
dude, I'm telling you, I know the stuff is terrible for me, and I don't drink it because it makes me feel miserable drinking it. But I've had like maybe 2 cans this year, and damn, that Monster Energy tastes good. It's the best tasting one. I'm telling you. I don't know why, it just is. And you know what the greatest thing about, if you want a good air freshener in your car in the summertime, leave one of those bad boys open in the car.
Oh my god, dude!
You step in that car and it just smells like whatever citrus flavor that is.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It smells great and disgusting at the exact same time.
Oh my god! I don't even know what to say to that, man. That sounds terrible.
I don't think I've ever in my entire life drank an entire can of Monster Energy, because I just can't get through it. It kills me, but it tastes good.
Oh man, I used to back in my college days. I was much larger back in the day, and I used to be able to pound 2 of those bad boys on a good gaming night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Monster Energy and Red Bull got me through college. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of late night driving and stuff and more early morning driving I couldn't have done without Monster Energy and Red Bull.
Yeah.
So.
And now Rowdy Energy.
Yeah. Maybe. Let's see. Austin Dillon. We didn't get to talk about it last week because the news came out after we recorded the podcast, but he was out this weekend due to a positive COVID test. Kaz Grala fills in for him, finishes 7th place. Great day for Kaz Grala. That was pretty cool to see.
I'm not sure would have had him in my fantasy lineup.
I know, right?
Yeah, I sent a joke in our group message that the legendary driver of the Richard Childress number 3 car, Kaz Grala, and he went out there and he had a great run. I mean, that's a great Cup Series debut for Kaz.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know what more you can say. I mean, he barely knew he had any time to race. He did not get to run a simulator.
Right.
He just hopped in the car and went out and got 7th place on a brand new track.
Well, we had an interesting situation this weekend because NASCAR wasn't allowing drivers to run more than one race this weekend.
Right.
So that limited the field as well. But Kaz was apparently the one. He was the one that was tapped to do it anyway.
Pretty cool.
I guess, so Dylan said, and I don't remember, I think I saw this in a tweet.
I think I know what you're going to say, and I saw it too.
Yeah, Dylan said that he called Dale Jr. to be his backup because he thought it'd be cool to see him drive the 3 car. But Jr. turned him down. And then Junior was asked on his podcast this week on the download whether he's entertained any calls, and he said he's had a few, and he'll call across the room to his wife and say, so and so wants me to drive his car, and she goes, oh, that's cute.
He's full dad mode now.
Yeah, anybody who's married knows what that means.
Oh man, can you imagine? I mean, what a great opportunity that would have been for Dale to drive the 3.
Well, I don't think Dale was real excited. Would have been real excited about running a road course. He's not a fan of road courses.
Yeah, I know.
But it would have been really cool to see him in the 3 car.
Would have made a nice pop for people watching the Cup Series. That's for sure.
No kidding. People would have tuned in.
Yeah, I know. Eric, quick question though. Now we've had a couple of drivers tagged for COVID. One being Jimmy Johnson, and the other, the big names, Jimmy Johnson and now Austin Dillon. What are we gonna do if we get to the playoffs here? I mean, we're just gonna drive through this, right? It's
I mean, I know that there's been calls on
Harvick gets this, and that could be the end of his season, right?
There's been calls on social media that people think that the driver who's being replaced or the driver who's out for COVID should get the points.
I don't agree. I don't
agree with it either. I'm okay with the whole starter race. You get the points thing, even though that's kind of weird sometimes.
COVID,
right, exactly. I think this is just something that we're dealt. It's no different than any other thing. It's no different.
Look at the other sports. I mean, the Florida or Miami Marlins, whatever the heck they're calling themselves now for baseball. I mean, they're trotting out, minor league players all over the place. They've had a ton of different lineups. They're just kind of going along with it, whatever they can do. Yeah,
this is the cards we're dealt, and this is what we have to deal with if we're going to run a season during a pandemic. And it's the same rules for everybody, same thing for everybody. If you get sick, you don't get the points, and it sucks. And I'm really hoping we don't have something like this happen in the playoffs. I do know that there's been some talk that maybe this encourages people to not test and not pay close attention to it, because if they do get, if they do test positive, they can't come to the track. But
how much emphasis is there going to be on those the races in the first race of each round of the playoffs?
Yeah.
So if you're Kevin Harvick and you go out and you win, and you get that win right away, you're safe. You've got 2 full weeks. So if you do get COVID, you're okay. I mean, that's one of the beautiful things about the playoffs. Even if you miss a race and you're a playoff driver, you've got a chance.
Right.
You can still win your way through.
You think these guys have restrictions during a normal season? You just wait what a top 16 driver is going to have to deal with during the playoffs this season. They're going to be in a freaking bubble, and that is it.
Oh yeah, I threw out a hypothetical a few weeks ago in our group chat, and just said, if you win a race and you get to go to Phoenix for the championship, what's to say you just don't bench your driver and tell him to stay home for 2 weeks?
Right.
Because of COVID, what's NASCAR going to tell you? Like, no, don't do that because you're worried about COVID. I mean,
you could falsify a COVID test. I mean.
Sure. I mean, it's we have, and another problem with the testing too is, like, look at Matt Stafford for the Detroit Lions. I mean, that was a false positive and totally, could have upended some of the stuff that they're doing. So
we still don't know with Jimmy Johnson. I mean, he never came down with it.
No, and Austin Dillon looks like he never did either.
Well, he did say he was showing some symptoms.
Okay.
But we did get word today that, and it's later in the notes, but we can say it now. Dillon is cleared to race this weekend at Dover. So
with the Mighty Ducks 2 video, which was I love.
Yeah,
I'm a kid of the '90s myself.
I was a fan of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's definitely something that's could be a factor in the playoffs. So let's hope it's not, but it could be. And there's been more instances than we realize because it hasn't been covered, but there have been team members across the board in the 3 different series. I believe there's been some drivers in the Xfinity Series and Truck Series, just not big name drivers, that have tested positive for COVID, that have missed races because of it. And I mean, I guess it's working so far.
These drivers just got to be extremely cautious.
Yep.
You know, you can survive races with a substitute pit crew driver here and there, or pit crew member here and there, but losing your driver costs you. I mean, look at Jimmy Johnson right now. He's in the fight of his life trying to make the playoffs.
Yep.
And you could argue that if he would have raced in Indianapolis, he'd have a much better spot.
Right, definitely.
So, it's affected his final season, in a negative way. So just got to be careful. But yeah, I just wanted to bring it up. I thought about it, and we've talked about it all year. But this was just another realization. Like, Austin Dillon's got that win in his back pocket and saved him.
Right.
I mean, he's going to be just fine. He hasn't lost a thing other than he had to miss a race.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, chance at some playoff points or whatever, but
right.
It's not like he's been clicking those off. So
exactly. Yep. He's got his win. He's good.
So I listened to some stuff from the Door Bumper Clear podcast this week, and so I wanted to add this little note in here because there was a pretty good discussion on DBC. So I don't think anybody who watched TV broadcast saw any of this because they never showed a replay. They didn't even do post-race interviews, anything, because they were pushed up against nightly news and they were pushed up against hockey on NBC Sports. So NBC didn't have anywhere to go with it. But on the last lap, so we had the restart with 3 laps to go at the end. The last lap going into turn 1, so Logano pitted for tires and expected more drivers to pit with him, and they didn't. And as a result, he was back further than he expected and basically trying to win the race on the last lap. Goes piling into turn 1, and he gets into the back of Alex Bowman, who then gets into the back of Bubba and spins Bubba Wallace out. So TJ Majors is the spotter for Joey Logano, and Freddie Kraft is the spotter for Bubba Wallace. And they're both hosts on the Door Bumper Clear podcast. And I believe Brett Griffin wasn't on this week, so it was just those two. And they had a pretty heated discussion about it. So here's a quick clip from DBC to give you a little bit of idea what they were talking about.
So here's what I don't understand. And
we didn't run into the back of the 88.
Here's what I don't understand.
And we didn't go to the right.
If you were inside of the 88, you would have turned the 88 and not propelled the 88 forward into me.
But he let off the brake pedal. I can show you the data if you'd like to see it.
I don't need to see the data. I was watching the race. The pictures show you behind him on entry. Look at the pictures. You want to see pictures? I got them right here for you.
I don't need the pictures. I can show you the data.
I don't need to see data. I'm looking at live pictures, live video. You are behind him in the 1.
Nope.
He propels forward into us.
False information, Freddie.
False information. Here we go. False.
When Alex comes down on us, I've got all the data that can show him turning to the right.
How about you show me the data of how much harder you drove in the corner that lap than you did the previous lap?
Did we make the corner?
I'm asking you. Yeah, because you used us as a brake.
We didn't use you for a brake.
Show me the data from the lap before. Did you have the same lift points? Did you have the same brake pressure?
I can show you the data from that too.
Okay, I'm sure you could. Listen, it is what it is. I don't think.
To see that. That is inside Alex Bowman. He hits right there.
What, are you joking me? Are you watching the same thing I'm watching?
That's
Where
already
do you hit
passed.
Him? Where do you hit him?
No, back here. Like you're already. We don't hit the back of him. He clips us right there. He's already loose.
Right.
No.
You're watching the video of you driving the back of him and telling me it's in the side
You're wrong.
of him.
We're not.
Somebody come out here and verify this.
We're going backwards right there. You've already hit.
Where am I? What are you talking about?
You've already hit at that point. That's where Alex gets loose and lets off the brake pedal and hits you.
Okay. We can agree to disagree on that.
So the clip on the show was 10 minutes long.
That's fantastic.
It was just a minute and a half of them arguing, but it was good stuff. So if you guys want to check it out, Door Bumper Clear podcast, you can find it anywhere that you find podcasts. That's also on the Dirty Mo Media YouTube channel if you want to check out the clip. Yeah, good stuff. And I watched the video. I was able to dig up the video and look at it. And, it's the last lap and they're racing into the turn. Bubba was just a victim of circumstance. Really, it shouldn't have been Bubba that had anything to do with it because it was really between Bowman and Joey. But Joey ran it in there harder than he needed to. But it's the last lap. What are you going to do?
I know. Yeah, I mean, shoot. I'll tell you this, though, Eric. Our podcast would be a heck of a lot more entertaining if we had stuff to fight about like that.
Right? Exactly.
I like that stuff.
I do know that in that clip also there was a line. Basically, Bubba went to talk to Joey, And Joey kind of gave him the same response that he gave, similar to what he gave Denny Hamlin at Martinsville last year.
Yeah, short track races.
Yeah.
So another person that Denny's that's not very happy with Denny. So, but Freddie made it known that Bubba's going to make it difficult for him to pass him. So here's another guy that Bubba's got a beef going with, and I mean Bubba's already tough to pass. So
Beef's always good.
Joey doesn't need more people getting in his way.
No, I don't know what's going on with that dude this year too, because I feel like shouldn't be having too many issues, but
Yeah.
He's making them for himself apparently.
Yeah. Good for us.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I'm good with it.
James, I know you didn't get a chance to watch a whole lot of the race. You got to watch some highlights. I watched every race this weekend from Daytona, including the ARCA race, which was a snoozer. But what do we think of the Daytona road course? Should it become a regular event in the Cup Series? And if so, how do we make that an event in the Cup Series? Do we replace the Daytona Super Speedway race? Do we add a third date to Daytona? How do we get it on the schedule? Any thoughts on it?
Yeah, please don't take away our Daytona Oval race.
Same here.
That's my biggest concern there. Don't take away the 400. I mean, that's going to be fantastic when we get down there again here in a week for the playoff finale.
Cannot wait. I have not,
or the regular season finale, but
I have not had this much anticipation for a race at Daytona. And this is the track they hold the Daytona 500 at. This is the track that they run the first race of the year at every year.
Yeah.
I have not had this much anticipation for a Daytona race as I have for the upcoming one.
Well, what I'll say about this is I'm okay with us running the road course. I thought for the most part, it's not the Charlotte Roval. It's not going to bring that kind of attention. And I think if we're going to add another road course to the track, I mean, this was a fine option in a pinch. I'd rather see us run a legit road course if we're going to add one more road course. But if you want to keep running this Daytona road course, you got to find a spot. And I just don't think we need to be taking away from the 500 weekend, or I don't want to see it slotted in with that anywhere. I don't want to take away the 400, so we got to figure out some other spot for it. And I just don't know if there's room on the schedule moving forward.
I think for me, this race was an adequate race. It worked when we had to replace a couple of road course races. It was better than not having a road course race. Daytona, for one, I mean, this track's a 4-mile track. It's designed for a 24-hour race. It's not really designed for close racing. It's really not a tough road course.
And Chase Elliott had a 11-second lead at one point.
Yeah.
Didn't he? I mean, he was really way out there.
I mean, it's a very forgiving road course. I don't know. I mean, I just don't think that there's a place for it is the problem.
I don't think so. I just don't think it fits. I mean, if they want to put the shoot out there or whatever they're calling it.
Well, see, I'm gonna even go further. I think that they should scrap that idea, James, because with 40 cars on the track or 39 cars on the track that we started on Sunday, I don't think the race is going to be good enough with 12 to 20 cars.
Yeah, whatever it's going to be. And who knows what they're going to do next year. I mean, if they're calling the random draw the pole award for next year, I don't know what they're going to do there. I don't know. It's fine. I don't know. I didn't have any anticipation for it, though. I'll be honest with you. Like the Roval, we were super, super excited about, and this one didn't hit me that same way.
I was excited about this one, but I was expecting it to be underwhelming compared to the Roval. It's just, I mean, it's basically the same thing as the Roval, but less tight, and that's what makes the Roval good is because it's tight.
Yeah, you're racing in a 2-mile box.
When you stretch that out, I mean, I do think one of the interesting things would have been to see them come rocketing off of turn 4 and try to make turn 1. But I also see why they didn't do that. It just wouldn't work.
The Xfinity guys had a hard enough time doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
I mean, they wouldn't have made that turn. You'd have had cars lifting up off the ground if they spun in the trial. I mean, it would just have been horrible. And they also created an extra passing zone with the chicane, even though it really wasn't a major factor in the race.
Yeah.
So I understand why they did what they did, but I don't know. It just, again, it was an adequate race. It was a decent race. The Xfinity race was really good.
Well, the Rex looked amazing. I mean, was it Justin Haley who launched, or I saw some pretty wicked wrecks.
They had the backstretch was wet, and they were hitting the grass and the inner loop on the backstretch, and it was putting them right up in the air because the splitters were digging in so much in the mud. But I mean, the Xfinity Series, I mean, those guys are so aggressive right now. They put on a good show anywhere.
Yeah.
It just, again, adequate road course. If we have to scrap a road course from the schedule for whatever reason next year or in future years, it's a great place to go. It's a great place to go at the last minute. I don't think it has a place on the full-time schedule. And on the same note, if you were to put it on the schedule regularly, I think the only way to make it work is to make it a doubleheader with an oval weekend, which I don't even know if that's possible to do with the changeover between the two tracks.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody would be for getting rid of one of the big track races and replacing it with this race. So,
No, I don't think so either.
I think I understand a little bit more now why NASCAR doesn't say run the boot at Watkins Glen, and they want to keep these tracks to under 2.5 miles because this one's 4 miles long, and it's
NASCAR fans love parity, Eric. And when you're running a course like that, you're not going to see the parity.
Right.
Every week of this season, Chase Elliott's bringing the second rated speed per car on the circuit. And when he's on a road course, he's the best at it right now. And that's just a wicked combination, and you're just not going to touch him. I know Denny gave him a heck of an effort, but it's just you're not going to see any of that parity when you've got a guy that good, a car that dominant, and a course that big.
Yep.
It's just not going to happen. You can't make up that difference, anywhere on the track.
Yep. All right. Couple other things worth mentioning really quick before we abandon Daytona for a week. Chris Buescher, great day, finishes 5th place.
Yeah, man.
Clint Boyer ends up with a 6th place finish. Clint's good on the road courses. Let's see. Bad days. Brennan Gaughan, who came back for this race, finishes 39th, dead last, with a transmission issue. Ran 46 laps of the 65. Stanton Barrett had issues on the backstretch. He was.
Good to see him back at the track, though.
Yeah, good to see him. We mentioned Kyle Busch. John Hunter Nemechek had trouble as well. He finished 35th. Ryan Blaney, bad day for him, 31st for him. Matt Kenseth just continues to disappoint in 26th. Bubba Wallace was running top 10 on the last lap, finishes 25th after that spin. So
yeah, that stinks because that was a good run.
Yeah, well, especially for Bubba, because Bubba's terrible on road courses.
Yeah, so if he can sneak a top 10, that's a net gain big time for him. So
that's a victory. He'd have been doing donuts in the tri-oval, standing on the roof of the car with a top 10 finish.
Yeah. Yep.
So, all right. Anything else with Daytona?
No, I'm looking forward to going back there in a week.
Yeah, I'm be much more excited.
Weird. We're going from Daytona to 2 at Dover, and then back down to Daytona again. We're going to end this regular season with some fire. So
yes, we are. All right. So on to the news. We already talked about Austin Dillon. I think we're all set there.
Yep.
Adam Stern says on Twitter that several teams are asking NASCAR for a significant number of one-day shows next season. A lot due to the uncertainty with sponsorship and all that stuff due to COVID. That being said, Eddie Gossage from Texas Motor Speedway says, that's not
of course
what a lot of the teams are saying. The teams he's talking to are not saying that. Of course, he's a track owner.
Whatever. Yeah.
I don't know.
We talked about this last week, Eric, a little bit. Kevin Harvick shed some light on this at Michigan and said that this is something, teams are starting to talk about, that 2021 is going to look a lot like 2020 when we're going to these tracks. So I can see why it makes sense for teams, honestly.
Right.
And I don't really have a problem with it. Do you? I don't know.
If we have fans back at the track, I'd like to see them make it to where there's more going on during the weekend, which we've had since COVID. I don't want a weekend like New Hampshire where there was the Cup race and that was it. Give me a couple races on Saturday, give me a couple races on Sunday, and I'm okay with there just being a race and no practice and qualifying, or a very short abbreviated practice session.
Yeah, like a 1 hour. Let's just do happy hours.
Yeah, I think you need to give fans something when they go there. And I know a lot of people don't come to practice and stuff, but there are people in the facility. People are down in the pits during that time. There are a lot of people that do take advantage of that time just because they're not sitting in their seats in the grandstands during it. There's still stuff going on. So I think they need to be careful of cutting it back too much. But I know NASCAR and a lot of the teams have wanted to do this for a while, and they tried to make it work before and then kind of backed off of it. And, COVID's given them a chance to have to do it, and it's working. So, I don't know. I mean, as a TV viewer on the weekend, I don't ever watch practice. I'll turn it on Friday at work, maybe if it's during the day. But otherwise, I don't care. I just want to tune in for the race. So, but when I'm at the track, I want stuff going on.
Isn't it incredible how flexible, NASCAR can be?
Yeah.
When when faced with, they were so rigid for so long, and
Right.
and if COVID has taught us anything, Eric, it's that we can do this on a shoestring. Really, I mean that's really what this season has been. It's been just winging it for the most part. So, I'm okay with some one day shows here and there. If we go to a racetrack twice a year and you want to make one of those, if it's a weeknight and it's a one-day show, yeah, I'd like to see that. I'm good with that. I don't think I want the majority of the schedule to be that way, though.
No, I'd be happier with one-day shows being 2 one-day shows on the same weekend, so you're still there for 2 days, with the doubleheader or something. But I mean,
like in Michigan would be good for 2 one-day shows. Let's qualify them up and race.
Even that, I mean, when we go to Kentucky, when we go to Chicagoland, usually. Chicago Thursday night is the ARCA race. Friday night is the truck race. Saturday is the Xfinity race. Sunday is the Cup race. You could take that weekend, change it to a 2-day weekend, get all those races in, and not run all of the practice sessions that are run, or even the lack of practice sessions that are run. There's a lot of downtime at the track during that. So you could make it work. It's at different tracks. I mean, you and I have a lot of experience at Michigan, where generally there's 2 series running on a weekend. That
Perhaps 3 with ARCA.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm used to August, so we didn't have ARCA. It was always 2 series.
Sure, yeah.
And so, in that case, a one-day weekend at Michigan kind of sucks because, you're just seeing one race and that's it.
Well,
but I don't think we're going to have to worry about that because I think we'll have double headers in the future.
I don't think NASCAR or the tracks are really worried about attendance anymore, Eric, to be honest with you. Even going forward,
right.
I don't think attendance with the TV contracts and things the way they are, attendance numbers don't matter. So
it still looks better to have people on the seats. And
I know it sucks for the fans, who want to go to the track and, want to have a tailgate in a weekend, but it doesn't matter like it used to.
It's less of a priority for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
The priority used to be the fans in the stands, and the TV was secondary, and it's not like that anymore.
Yeah, no, it's completely flip-flop.
We've proven that this year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It doesn't matter. You're completely right. Yeah. It's we're just going by the seat of our pants on all of this stuff. It's empty seats, and you don't have any expectations other than to get the cars to run. Right. And that makes it a little easier in a sense too.
This weekend will be Matt DiBenedetto's 200th start in the Cup Series.
Man, good for him, man.
I know it's kind of crazy because Matt's been around for a while. We just haven't seen him in competitive cars, so
pretty cool. I mean, he's been climbing the ladder the entire time, and hopefully by next year or so he'll be able to find that victory lane that he wants so bad.
Yeah, I'm worried about his future in the car he's in. So hopefully,
they gotta figure it out. I mean, this is a weird year. I'm willing to, for most drivers, especially Matt DiBenedetto, I'm willing to give this year a punt.
Yeah, but there's such a good driver waiting in the wings.
I know that's the problem.
Is he going to get the opportunity to punt?
And another team owner's been asked about him. I think we'll probably talk about it a little bit, but that driver that you're talking about has, I think he's got options moving forward. So,
right.
I'd hate to see Matt lose a seat because of it. But
yep. Let's see. Per the request of several drivers, I know Kyle Busch was one of them who was complaining about it at Daytona. NASCAR is going to allow the teams to remove a portion of their right side window this weekend at Dover to combat the heat. I think it's great. I don't understand why we put the stupid windows on the cars to begin with, especially in the middle of summer. We knew this was going to be an issue. I mean, these guys are dying. They're dying in these cars, guys.
Yeah, they're cooking. It's hot.
I don't. NASCAR. So the teams don't want to run cool suits and stuff like that because it takes amperage away from the cars. Blah blah blah. They don't want to run extra vents. NASCAR can step in and mandate this stuff. I don't know why NASCAR doesn't do a better job of driver comfort, mandating driver comfort. I mean, I understand you're not supposed to be comfortable in a race car, but you shouldn't be on the verge of passing out because it's so hot in the car. I mean, NASCAR needs to step up and do a couple things here. Mandate cool suits, mandate something to where we don't have to deal with this overheating driver stuff. It's ridiculous.
Ventilation. You can go sit in the parking lot on a really hot day with your windows closed.
Yeah.
and that's not even doing anything. That's just sitting there.
No,
so.
run. I mean, honestly, Bobby Allison used to say, put your windows down on the highway and run and turn the heat on full blast in the middle of the summer. That's what it feels like in a car. And he's not wrong. We've seen the temperatures in these cars.
Yeah, they're hot.
Yeah, and so I mean, look at IndyCar. IndyCar put the aero screen on the cars. The cars got overly hot, so they added extra vents to the top to make that hopefully cool the drivers down a little bit. I don't know why NASCAR doesn't take a bigger step in doing this. Even when NASCAR does well, you guys can put an extra vent in the car, in the window at Michigan this weekend. They say you can, and the teams just tape it up because they want the speed. And it's like, if you make everybody do it, then there's no advantage, and you're done.
And the drivers, they don't want to give up the speed either, as much as
well, none of these drivers is going to say that they value their comfort over speed.
Right.
I mean, you're never going to do that. Ricky Rudd used to duct tape his eyes open to race after the Busch Clash when he flipped. None of these guys want to be the sissy who says, I want my car to go slower so I can have air conditioning,
Yeah.
So make the decision for them.
Yeah.
Come on,
exactly.
NASCAR, step it up.
Yep. Do your thing, boys.
There you go.
It happened.
We're going to talk a little bit more about Jimmy Johnson on the Dale Jr. download in a little bit, but he broke a little bit of news on the podcast this week. There's already some rumblings going around. So he was asked if he would consider making next year his final season in the Cup Series. Junior asked him because obviously this year he hasn't been able to be with the fans and all that, and hasn't really been able to celebrate the final season as he'd hoped to do. And Jimmy made a couple comments about his interest in especially the IndyCar series. Kind of surprised Junior and the guys in saying that he's working on sponsorship to run the entire IndyCar road and street course portion of the schedule next year.
That's awesome.
And then he even went so far as to say he'd be willing to sign a 2-year contract, and depending on how the Indy 500 goes this weekend and oval racing goes, possibly include the 2022 Indy 500 in that mix.
He's got the bug.
I mean, he made it pretty clear on the podcast that he is not retiring. He is leaving the Cup Series full time. And
what are the odds?
Sorry, James. Even that, he still didn't leave. I mean, he said Cup Series. We want to run some Cup Series races next year. And then Junior made a joke about him running the number 8 Xfinity car, and Jimmy seemed pretty interested in that too. So.
He's just going to be all over the place. He doesn't want to be stuck in the rigid system of NASCAR anymore.
Yeah.
He wants to go race and do what he wants.
In Jimmy's race for Hendrick, which Dale Jr. raced for Hendrick too, and Hendrick is strict about what you're. I mean, I think that's part of the reason that Kyle Busch is elsewhere, is that these guys want to do other things, and Hendrick doesn't let them do it.
Yeah.
So I mean, Junior was limited to he was not allowed to run except a couple Xfinity races that he ran when he raced in the Cup Series, and so.
Yep.
And Jimmy's in that same boat. Now Jimmy's going to be able to get out from under that umbrella and do his own thing. He did say that he doesn't have a whole lot of interest in running for another team in the Cup Series. So I don't know
I don't know how he's going to run for Hendrick.
Right.
But
I mean, he's working with Chip Ganassi in the IndyCar series, so who knows? Maybe they can run a Ganassi car.
They can wiggle a third car together, and Hendrick horsepower and things like that. I mean, it can be a Hendrick car under Ganassi's banner. So
Jimmy also mentioned sports cars. Even off-road trucks. So
yeah, we're going to see him all over the place.
Yep.
What are the odds what do you think of him possibly trying to race an F1 race at some point?
I hope he does it. I'd like to. More than that, I'd like to see him I'd like to see him run a season. Run a season F1.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a certain. You have to have a certain licensing. There's the whole licensing thing. But
I think he qualifies because. I think just running in the Cup Series qualifies you for that super license.
Martin Truex Jr. was really close to having the super license at one point. I can't remember what the parameters were, like being a champion and all sorts of.
He's a freaking 7-time champion. If he can't get a Formula One license.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah, I know.
I mean, come on. I've seen some of the guys that have run Formula One, James. There's whole videos on YouTube of some of the jokers that have run in the Formula One series.
Scott Speed run in the Formula One. Cars. We saw what he did in NASCAR. So
yeah, if Scott Speed can run a Formula One car, Jimmy Johnson can run a Formula One car. Come on.
Yeah.
So no, I'd love to see it. F1 has new rules coming next year, which look pretty incredible. Actually, a lot of stuff to make the cars more equal and interesting. I think it's going to really change up Formula One. So I'd love to see it. We haven't seen much of people go the other direction. We see guys come from Formula One to try NASCAR or IndyCar or whatever. we don't usually see him go the other direction. So I'd love to see it and see what somebody from NASCAR could do.
Jimmy Johnson's going to try to run the Indy 500. Smoke, come on, get
Right?
it together, man. Let's go.
He's
You talked about it. Let's
He's
go.
waiting for those extra wide Indy cars, James.
Dude.
If they let him run the 2-seater,
So much Burger King. Let's go. I want to see you out there. Dang it.
all right. Let's see that. I'm just making sure I'm in the right spot. Okay. Speaking of Tony Stewart, James.
Yeah, let's transition.
Speaking of Tony Stewart, so Kyle Larson wants to come back to NASCAR. He told the AP this week that he's interested in coming back. Basically said he was ignorant and immature, learned his lesson, and wants to come back. NASCAR has confirmed that Larson has asked about being reinstated. He is still indefinitely suspended. NASCAR is still reviewing it. Tony Stewart's
review.
I don't know. Tony Stewart said it's a mistake that that Larson or NASCAR hasn't allowed Larson back in.
What's
that?
I'm gonna go down a road here when you're done.
All right, let me play the audio clip first, and then we can go down that road, James. So Tony was on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio talking to Daniel Trotta about just about his car and or about his team and what opportunities there are available there. And I think Larson's name comes up in it as well. Here it is.
Let's go back to that 14 car. I know Clint means a lot to you. You tabbed him to replace you when you vacated the seat, but it is a performance-based business. It's been a while since he won, and his deal's up at the end of the year. So we talk silly season. I'm looking, Tony, at Chase Briscoe, who's just lighting the world up in the Xfinity Series, a great Ford driver. Austin Cindric, also part of that manufacturer group, who's having a lights-out season, and a ton of fans who miss Kyle Larson from the top level in Cup. There's rumors out there you two have talked. Is Kyle Larson an option, and how do you kind of look at that seat?
Well, I mean, like you mentioned, we got Chase Briscoe in our stable too. So I mean, we've got a full lineup right now, and it's NASCAR hasn't even let Kyle Larson back in, which I feel like is a mistake right now on NASCAR's part. I mean, I feel like it's time to get Kyle back in the sport. I think he's paid his dues. I think he served his penalty as far as society is concerned, and I think it's time for NASCAR to let the kid have an opportunity to get back where he belongs, and that's behind a stock car. But, I think Chase has done such a great job with us. We've got 4 great drivers in the Cup cars now. We got Chase in an Xfinity car, and definitely feel like that he's getting himself in a position to where he's going to be ready to be in a Cup car very soon as well. So we've got a full stable right now, and I like the group of guys we've got. It's just a matter of, making sure that we give them everything that they need to get the job done.
Stewart said elsewhere, too, that he doesn't see an issue with Briscoe running another year in the Xfinity Series, which kind of leads me to believe that Briscoe is going to run another year in the Xfinity Series. James, what are your thoughts on what Smoke had to say in this whole situation?
Boy, I'm not one who likes to disagree with my favorite driver.
Oh, really?
All time. But he's wrong. Because here's why. Kyle Larson said what he said, and that's fine. We know that story. But when he said when everything went down, that was a different world. And the entire world has changed since then. So if NASCAR wants to wait and not let him drive for the rest of this year, for next year, however long that is, then by all means, keep him on the sidelines, because NASCAR's in a box here. It would be, they're doing all this stuff. The Bubba Wallace stuff happened. The Confederate flag stuff happened. We don't have to go down that road. But for NASCAR to say, oh yeah, we're going to bring Kyle Larson back right now, it just doesn't seem like it's sending the right message right now. I think they do need to come out and say, listen, he's suspended for the rest of the year, and then he's allowed to come back. They need to actually clarify that, and I think that's where NASCAR is making a huge mistake. But they need to put a timestamp on it. But it's not up to Tony Stewart to say when society, when Kyle Larson's paid his debts to society. That's not Tony Stewart's place.
I agree with you, but I think he's also not wrong in that I think that Larson has. I think in the eyes of most NASCAR fans, I think essentially I don't know if forgiven is the right word.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
We realize his talent, though.
Right.
Like, we know, like, NASCAR as a sport is better because Kyle Larson's driving in it, right? We understand that.
And I'm with you. I don't want to see NASCAR let him back this year. But I would like to see them let him back next year. I don't see there's a reason that he needs to be out more than the rest of this season. I think he should be able to come back next year. I'd be really excited to see him in a car next year. I'd be willing to cheer for him next year, you know, as long as he needs to show it still when he comes back that he's a different person. He certainly needs to prove himself still. He hasn't fully proven himself that he's learned his lesson.
Yeah, Eric, that's what I was just gonna say. Other than winning races and being amazing in a sprint car,
right?
What have we seen Kyle Larson doing to show that he has paid his debt to society?
Well, I mean, he deleted his social media, so
he's gone away. I mean, he's gone away. He hasn't used his platform for. I will say I have seen some pictures of him doing some things, but.
Yeah, and he's, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt too. It's COVID season. I mean, he's limited on what he can do too. So, and it's not like he's got cameras following him around. He's racing every night and winning every night in the sprint cars. So,
PR's not his job. Driving the race cars is his job, right?
And when he comes back, it needs to be his job. You know, he needs to play that role. He needs to be with the media more. He needs to get the chip off of his shoulder and prove to everybody that he's learned his lesson. But I don't think he gets that opportunity until he's back. And I think he needs another chance. And when he does, I think when he does get the other chance, it's going to be a Shane Meal type of situation that you screw up again, you're gone, buddy.
Yeah, dude. I agree. And what's stopping Kyle Larson and Bubba Wallace from having some sort of a powwow? You know, why can't there be a bridge there?
Wasn't Larson part of that group?
Yeah, they're all friendly with each other, and Bubba didn't defend him, but Bubba tried to soften the blow.
There's definitely some PR steps that Larson could take to prove that things are better.
That's the thing, is he just hasn't.
No, he's done the exact opposite. He's
gone away.
He's fallen into the shadows despite winning in the sprint cars, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, the random person who reads the sports news, they're not going to understand what a NASCAR fan understands about Kyle Larson. And when he comes back, it's going to rattle people up.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be a pretty sight on NASCAR. So NASCAR has to, and that's why I think NASCAR, and that's why I don't understand why NASCAR says they're still reviewing it. What's there to review? He did what he did. Let's put a timestamp on it and let him drive.
So I guess my stance on it is that I feel that Kyle Larson has served his penalty. But I don't know that he's learned his lesson. He needs to prove that he's learned his lesson. Yeah. But I think I think he should get the opportunity to come back and then let us determine whether he's learned his lesson.
Yeah, and it's no secret that Tony Stewart's trying to get him into one of his cars. And I think that's what's going on there too, is Tony Stewart's lobbying to get him. I want him reinstated so I can start working on deals.
If you want to talk about somebody who likes to play the politics, lobbying in public position, I mean, how many times has Tony lobbied for a cup race or a Xfinity race at Eldora? I mean, this guy's no stranger to saying things in the public. It's all calculated.
He knows the game.
Yep.
He knows the game.
Yep.
He's got to be careful here. I really don't like that he said society.
Yeah.
That he's paid his debts to society. I think that's really a misguided quote.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. He's paid his debt to NASCAR.
Yeah, I think that's true. He doesn't know NASCAR.
But again, he didn't pay his debt. He served his penalty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no debt to be paid. He served. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's correct. He has said in the side. I mean, he's completely gone away.
Yeah, he's lost his career at this point.
Yeah, and we know what Tony wants to do here, and that's fine. And he plays the game as good as anybody has ever played the game. But yeah, we want to see Larson back. I want to see him drive.
Yeah.
I don't know. It would be hard for me to root for him, but I would like to see him drive again.
Yeah.
So let's see. I mean, I'm part of me is glad that Tony's talking about this a little bit, but you got to say the right things too. So I don't know.
Yep. All right. Any news I missed, James? We're going to talk about paint schemes, but
Indy 500's coming up this week.
Yeah, Indy 500's this weekend.
They've been racing a lot on the track. They've been out, you know. all sorts of stuff dialed in.
Roger Penske sent a letter out to fans.
Beautiful letter. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Basically saying that did everything they could to try and get fans to the track. I'm still bummed they can't have fans there. Even my feelings on the whole coronavirus and all that. I'm certainly of the mindset that we need to be careful, and a lot of these places are doing the right thing. I still feel like there's some way we could have gotten some people in the seats, but better safe than sorry.
It's a big place. You'd think that you could do something, but it's hard, Yep.
So, but yeah, Indy 500s on Sunday. We got, it's a weekend of freaking racing, man. There are so many races this weekend. It's crazy. Is there a Formula One race this weekend?
I don't know. I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. I'd have to look it up real quick, but
yeah.
It doesn't matter. If there is, Lewis Hamilton's going to dominate it. So.
Right, exactly. Well, yeah, nobody cares about who wins a Formula One race anyway. It's in the middle of the pack.
In the entire world of people doing jobs, does anybody do their job as good as Lewis Hamilton? That guy, man, jeez.
But he's also like reckless.
Yeah,
he's just good.
He's so good.
He makes up for the recklessness, but he's reckless.
He is. But maybe that's what makes him good. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a formula. I don't. This dude's good.
All right. So let's August 28th. So no, not this weekend. Next
weekend. Yeah, yep. Next weekend.
All right. Let's talk some paint schemes, James, because it is the best time of the year.
Yeah.
If you like NASCAR paint schemes, because it is throwback time. We are getting all kinds of throwback paint schemes. If you guys haven't seen any of these that we're going to talk about, you can check them out in the show notes at thesuperspeedway.com. You can click on links and see all of them that we're going to discuss. I think I'm caught up on what we've seen over the past week. Let's start. I'm doing these in order that they appeared on J-Ski. So, because that's how I write the show notes, right? It's just look at J-Ski. So, before the race weekend last weekend at Dover, we got Joey Logano's throwback scheme. It is a tribute to Bobby Allison, the old 22 Miller High Life car with the star on the door. Good looking car, right?
Yeah,
not a bad looking
it's all
car.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not what I was expecting, but yeah, it's a good looking car. On there.
That's cool. I'm opening it up here real quick again because it's been a little bit since I looked at it. Yeah, it's they could have very easily changed. I don't like it when these guys have the right number and they don't change the font.
Yeah, I know.
He's got the 22. Change the font for God's sakes.
I know.
But that's a Penske thing.
Yeah, I know.
I guarantee that's a Penske thing.
Yep. I have some gripes about some of that as well. Yeah, you know how I feel about the numbers. Yeah, you got to get it right.
I feel like Dale Jr. here bitching about the numbers, but I'm telling you,
you got to get it right.
Yeah,
got to get it right.
Exactly. I think that's one of the reasons I like the throwback stuff as much as I do too, because Junior talks about it. I love how into it he is because the reason I love Junior is because I'm him, James.
Yes.
We're the same person. He just happened to have a famous dad that and raced in NASCAR, but otherwise, personality-wise, not completely, but the stuff we like in NASCAR is similar. Yep. So, yes. Then we got Tyler Reddick's, which James, I will come out and say it right now. There is nobody who's going to have a better paint scheme than this paint scheme.
You and I disagree here, but this is your favorite scheme of all time.
This is officially my favorite NASCAR scheme. It is the Jeff Burton Raybestos car with the gradient red, yellow to white on the door. It's number 8, correct number, actually correct font.
Yeah, they got to lean in the wrong way.
Yeah, you're right. They do.
Lean it the right way.
What the hell?
Come on,
guys.
I know that. See, now is that going to bother you?
It's going to drive me crazy now. I knew there was something wrong.
Good.
So
good. I did my job. I didn't want to pee in your Cheerios too bad, but
I'll go so far to say that this is not the best paint scheme in the world, but
it's your favorite.
This interpretation of it isn't the best. They could do better than this, but it is my absolute. It's been documented on this show. I love all of the Raybestos paint schemes. I don't know why. I just do, and this one is my favorite. So
yeah, it's when Kyle Larson ran the Kyle Petty mellow yellow car. I had all the feels, man.
Yeah.
And who ran the Texaco Haviland truck last year? The 99.
Oh, Ben Rhodes ran it.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a beautiful, and that was a throwback scheme, but boy, that was a good looking
truck.
And
I like that one for the sentimental value of Davey and Ernie and whatnot. But to me, as far as just a paint scheme that I like, Todd asked me the other day, greatest of all time. I said, no, I'm not saying this is the greatest paint scheme ever. This is just my favorite paint scheme. And it always has
the greatest paint scheme ever, unchallenged, is the Davey Allison a Texaco white, gold, and red and black paint scheme. Look that one up. That's the best paint scheme of all time.
I think we would have to have a discussion on that, James, because I don't know. I don't have enough examples in my mind right now to agree with you. I do agree. Very excellent scheme. But
the Kodak number 4 car was also a great scheme. I don't know if it's great of all time. That car was so great looking. Mellow yellow car was great.
Mellow yellow car was good.
I'm trying to think of the best paint schemes of all time. I mean, there's been some good ones.
There were some good. Kyle Petty has a lot of good paint schemes. Kyle Petty's Peak Antifreeze car was really good with the chrome numbers.
Yeah, that was a good one.
The Hot Wheels car was awesome.
Yeah, the Hot Wheels car was a good looking car. I wouldn't say it was the greatest, but yeah, it's good. It was good, really good.
Speaking of poorly implemented paint schemes, I wish that Stuart Haas would have somebody other than Busch come up with Harvick's paint schemes.
Oh, those Busch cars are so bad.
Busch likes to throw back to their freaking cans and nobody cares.
Yeah, I know.
So,
they have such a great opportunity with the Budweiser deal and stuff.
Yeah.
They could do something. I know. They really screwed that up.
So because Busch didn't sponsor cars because they were Budweiser cars, they can't throw back to an old car and run a Busch sponsorship.
I know.
So they got to run freaking throwback to the cans. Well, who cares?
Yeah. I know, nobody cares. Sorry.
It's a good-looking car. Harvick's car is a good-looking car, but for a throwback, it's terrible.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Don't like it.
No, I agree. All right, so then we move on to Ryan Newman, who you gotta have a certain personality to throw back to yourself.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin's done it too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who else has done it, but yeah.
But I mean, if you're gonna do it, throw back to something that's from like your origins of racing, and that's what Newman's doing. Yeah, I'm not dissing Newman for this. So he's throwing back to his Silver Crown scheme.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a good looking car.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ugly, but that's what old cars looked like. So I mean,
yeah,
that's what it should be. So
yeah.
So I know I said that the Jeff Burton throwback is my favorite, and it will be. But this is also one of my favorites of the scheme so far. Austin Dillon's throwing back to Junior Johnson. This car is pretty, man. It's a beautiful car. It's
a nice
so simple, but it is beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice. The 3, everything looks great.
Yep.
It's well done. It's up there. It's one of the top. It's top 3 for me probably.
I think it's top
so far.
5, maybe throwback period.
Yeah, it's really
one.
good. It's the best one they've done. I know they've done the Dale Earnhardt Iron Man scheme,
right? Which
I really like, or whatever that was called, the silver and orange.
Yeah,
that was one of their best ones, but this one's good.
Yeah, it takes a certain, when you throw back this far, it's one thing to throw back to the 90s. Those are cool because for, you and I, that's when we were started watching NASCAR. There's that sentimental value. But to throw back to a legend like this is cooler. This is always going to be the coolest when you do this. The cars, they're not as...
And the right number. You got the right number on there.
Yeah, they're not as flashy, but, I mean, even the 3M logo on the front looks old-fashioned. They did a good job with it. So
yeah. Yep.
And
looks great.
American Ethanol does a great job of adapting their name into these paint schemes. So good on American Ethanol for letting them screw around with their logo a little bit, too.
Yep.
So, speaking of which, so on the Dale Jr. podcast this week, he talked to Richard Childress. Did you listen to the download this week, James?
I haven't listened to the download, but I know he had Childress and Petty.
Yeah, so Childress said that when Goodwrench came to sponsor the 3-car, they originally had a blue and white paint scheme, and Childress wanted the black.
I heard about this before, yeah.
And so they did up a car with duct tape, and they did half of it in the color of the scheme that they wanted, and half of it in the black scheme, and then Goodwrench bought into the black one, and that's what they went with. So I thought that was really interesting. I'd never heard that story before.
Yeah, I have heard that story before. That's think about the man in blue.
Right? I know.
No.
Just wouldn't have been the same.
Man in black.
Yeah.
It would have been the same, exactly.
Speaking of the man in black, this is not the prettiest paint scheme, but I think it is the coolest paint scheme this year.
It's the best idea.
Yes.
For a paint scheme.
It's not implemented maybe the best,
right,
but it's implemented well. It just doesn't work, I think is what it is. So the reason that Jimmy Johnson was on the Dale Jr. download this week, and Richard Petty and Richard Childress were on as well, is because Jimmy Johnson, in classic Jimmy Johnson style, it's his last season in the Cup Series. Instead of throwing it back to himself, instead of celebrating something he's done. He throws it back to the other 7-time champions in the sport, and he's got a split scheme with the black and silver side and front and rear of Dale Earnhardt, and the top and hood and deck lid is the 43 STP scheme. Ally, again, as we talked about with American Ethanol, allows their logo to be in the STP circle, which is pretty cool, or the oval. Again, it just doesn't work, but it's awesome.
Yeah, it's an idea that we've in our group chat we went about how we would have changed it.
Yeah.
And there's ways you could do it. I'm not going to go into it, but
big props for them to use it has the same font as the 3 on the door for the 48, and in the
48 the 48 font is astonishingly good.
Yeah,
I really like that. I know that the 48 on the Dale Earnhardt portions of the car, the 8's not right because of
right, it's too skinny.
It's not quite, but yeah, it's still awesome.
The 48 on the roof is the same font as the 43. Again, it's awesome and atrocious at the same time.
Yeah.
But here's something to think about, man. This is 21 championships represented in this car, James.
It's awesome, dude.
21 championships.
21 of the 21 Cup Series titles. I wish Jimmy would have put some of his paint on there too, but that's okay. We know how Jimmy is.
Yep. Well, there's going to be a couple Jimmy Johnson cars running this weekend. We'll get to those in a minute.
Oh yeah.
So Josh Balicki has a pretty cool paint scheme as well, throwing back to the classics, throwing back to Tommy Baldwin Sr., one of the old modified paint schemes. Pretty cool. It's pretty basic, yellow with the old style number, but pretty cool. So
Yep. They've done that before with Tommy Baldwin Racing, where they've had the throwbacks to the old schemes too. So that's pretty cool.
Yep. So until today, I thought this was the worst throwback of them all. But Brad Keselowski is throwing it back to Brad Keselowski.
10 years of Discount Tire.
Yeah, he's throwing it back to the old Discount Tire Xfinity scheme.
It's too new.
Yeah, it's a. I mean, the car looks fine.
We're going to get into a scheme that's too new here in a minute, but
right.
Yeah. It's fine. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it. It's just is what it is, right?
There's so many good options for the 2 car that
they've already run their one race this year, so he's kind of boxed in. He's had so many good ones they're allowed to punt on one. I
guess it's terrible.
He's had the best ones by default because he's got Miller Lite.
Yeah. Nothing will beat the genuine Million Draft car. So
it's so good. I know.
Yeah. Then the entire Hendrick stable is running Jimmy Johnson throwbacks.
Love them all.
Yep. All of them are good.
The 24 car looks really good.
Yeah, the 24 car looks good. I think Chase's is my favorite. Is that the rookie scheme? Chase's the rookie scheme?
That's the first championship. That's
okay.
06. That's the first title. And then Bowman's running what year? 2010, the 2010 championship season.
Okay.
So they got the bookends of the 5 straight titles, and then they've got the All-Star win in the red, white, and blue Lowe's 48 running on the 24. Just awesome.
I like Chase's the best. I think that one's the best.
Yeah, they're all good. Jimmy had some good schemes in the Lowe's days.
Yeah.
I wish they would have run remember when he had the all blue with the stripes?
Yeah.
That was my favorite scheme.
Jimmy had a lot of good paint schemes. Even the non-Lowe's. I mean, it was generally always a Lowe's scheme. Lowe's let him put other stuff on the car at times.
The foundation, he had some good schemes there.
Yeah.
Some black. Yeah, there were some good ones.
Yeah, Jimmy's had many good schemes. There's only been a couple bad ones.
Yeah, his Superman car was one of my favorites. That was a really good one.
Yeah. And then today we got the worst one yet.
Yeah, I sent this to you guys because I just started laughing when I saw, because I thought it was a joke. So I thought it was a joke, and then I read it. I'm like, oh, Eric and Todd are gonna get this one in the group chat.
So Daniel Suarez is throwing back to Daniel Suarez. Basically, what is he throwing back? A year?
2016. Yeah, he's throwing it back to his championship Xfinity seat.
He's running the Eris scheme.
It's tough. Yeah. So Eris must have had money for sponsorship for one race this year, and they just must have went to Joe Gibbs and said, "Hey, you got those old decals?"
Right.
That's all they did.
Yeah.
Now, fun fact. I sent this in the group chat too, but cousin Carl Edwards, he won the first throwback race with this exact paint scheme. There's I guess if you're throwing it back to a throwback, there you go.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
It's bad. Now, my favorite, you don't have my favorite scheme listed, but I'll say what it is.
Yeah, what is it?
Michael Annette, he's running the Dale Jr.
Yes, you're right.
Oreo car. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's not the 3 because he runs the number 1, but it's pretty dang good, man. It's really good. It's even got the little junior signature next to the number.
Nice.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
I'm assuming there's going to be some more Jimmy Johnson schemes too in the other series because Jimmy kind of hinted at it on the download. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
He's got 7 championships to fill up. So
right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Run those bad boys.
All right, James. Let's talk race picks. We got lots of racing this weekend. Lots of racing. So let's go through what we got this weekend. So the Cup Series is racing twice this weekend. Yep. We have the Dryden 311 race 1 and the Dryden 311 race 2.
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday at Dover. In addition to that, the Xfinity Series has a doubleheader this weekend, the Dryden 201 and the Dryden 202. The NASCAR Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series has a race this weekend as well, Friday night. The KDI Office Technology 200 from Dover. And the ARCA Menard Series has the General Tire 125 on Friday at 2 p.m. this weekend.
Lots of racing.
Lots of racing. Actually, it's ARCA Menard Series East, so it is not the big series. You got to have NBC Gold Track Pass to watch that, which I spent the money at the beginning of the season for. So,
yeah,
there you go. I'll get to watch 8-10 cars compete in that one probably.
That's right.
So, with that, James, last week I got to pick Daytona first, or James picked Daytona first, actually.
No, I picked Daytona first. Yeah,
and James screwed up because he picked Kyle Busch.
I did,
and left Chase Elliott sitting right there. So I picked Chase.
Yep.
I got 2 points for Chase Elliott, and then Dark Horse he got me with the Michael McDowell pick. I picked Tyler Reddick.
Swept again, but that was your 3rd race pick winner in a row, technically, because you had the Michigan double.
Yep. So
you got the 2 Harvick wins and now a Chase Elliott win. My struggles continue, but thank you, Michael McDowell, for getting me my first point in 3 races.
Yeah. Actually saved you from being 10 points behind.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. It's getting worse.
31-23. I lead James after 24 races. So I have some ideas for next year, James. I think next year we start looking at this and we start actually figuring points.
How many points they earn during the race?
How many points they earn instead of the way we're doing it. But I don't want to change it now.
No, you're good.
So, but I think that makes more sense because then you can have a good day and not win.
Oh, I'm really screwed unless now this weekend you get the first pick again.
Yeah, so I'm giving you an opportunity. I know you said you weren't gonna.
Nope, we're sticking to it.
All right, so we're gonna pick. We're picking for both races, and I pick first.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
All right.
I have earned nothing after what happened at Michigan. I should be kicked out of this whole picks thing for that debacle. So this and then picking KFB was not great.
This is a really tough weekend because it feels, when we're done with the races this weekend, we're going to go, wow, that should have been really easy. But I don't think it's that easy because Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr. are the favorites this weekend to win. Chase Elliott's spectacular at Dover. Chase actually has the best average finish of active drivers right now.
Yep.
With an average finish of 8.9.
Yep.
Kyle Busch has been good here. He's got 3 wins. We obviously know he's been struggling, but it's 2 races this weekend, so Kyle could maybe get some practice on Saturday and win on Sunday. So Kyle's a decent pick. And then, we said Harvick is a favorite to win. Harvick only has 2 wins.
I think Harvick and Hamlin are still going to be a problem.
Yeah, I think Hamlin's one to pick this weekend. And I'll tell you what, James, Jimmy Johnson has 11 wins here, and he's not looked bad lately. So if Jimmy's going to turn his season around and give himself a win in his last season, there's probably no better place than this one for him to do it.
Yep.
So on that note, I get to pick first, and I am not going to go with Kevin Harvick. I probably will regret that. I am going to pick one of the favorites, though, and I'm going to take Martin Truex Jr. as my pick this weekend.
Dang, I was kind of leaning towards taking him, too.
Harvick's, I don't know. It's so tough, man. It's so tough.
Yeah.
Truex, this has been Truex's track. I believe he got his first ever NASCAR win here in the Xfinity Series. He's finished off championships here. it's a good track for Truex. So,
yeah. So for 2 races, you get Martin Truex Jr.
Yep.
Son of a gun. All right.
I will also note too that William Byron is good here.
Yes.
And
well,
I think he's.
I'm getting to him.
Oh, you're gonna pick him as your dark horse?
Probably. If he still qualifies, yeah, I'm taking him.
You might as well take him. But anyway, you get to make your first pick first.
Yeah. Boy. Well, you took Truex. I'd like to take Chase Elliott, but I'm gonna go with stability.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Denny Hamlin because I need somebody to win bad.
Yeah.
So the last 2 races here, he has led the most laps. So I like that. I'll take that. That's kind of my leaning on Denny Hamlin. He's been the second best or best driver this year, depending on the week. So, let's see if I can get something back here. But Truex is gonna be tough to beat.
And you're going William Byron for your dark horse, or are you picking somebody else?
Yeah, I'll take Bill.
All right.
Been pretty good here the last 2 races as well. So top 10, average finish 10.5.
Nice. I am going to, for my dark horse.
And his work's been really good here. I know it's different circumstances.
Yeah, I'm not picking him. I picked him once this season. I'm going to pick somebody, and I'm going to pick him because I've got the lead that I have, so I can afford to screw up if I screw up. But I'm going to say that this track is a big Bristol, and somebody who could really use a win, who has had good performances. He's middle of the road here as far as average finish, but he's good at Bristol, which is similar. And I'm going to go Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Can I pick Ricky Stenhouse here?
Technically, he's a 2-race winner in the Cup Series.
But it's the restricted plate wins, right?
Yeah, I'll allow it.
All right.
I mean, what am I gonna do?
I don't know. He's not gonna. Byron's a better pick anyway, so.
Yeah, if we get 2 Ricky Stenhouse wins, I'm gonna flag it. That's fine. No, I'll allow it. It's cool.
All right.
We gotta start, getting wacky with some of these dark horse picks anyway. So
I feel like we need to bail on the dark horse for the playoffs. Maybe for the playoffs we just pick. What's that?
We each pick 2 playoff drivers.
I think that's probably what we'll do for the playoffs. Is just pick 2.
That's a great idea.
Maybe better yet, we pick a playoff and a non-playoff driver for the playoffs.
Yeah, that's fine.
I like that idea. So we'll do that.
Yeah, give me a chance to try to catch up. Anything, I'll take anything. Any
go.
rule change, I will. I'm for. So.
I felt like things were going well in the fantasy league this week, but I had Kyle Busch off the bench at the last minute and Martin Truex Jr. on the bench, and that was a mistake.
Yep, KFB screwed me up pretty bad. With a good run from him, I would have done much better. But
you beat me, I believe.
Yeah, by a couple points, 7 points.
Yeah.
So
I knew when you finished ahead of me that I did terrible.
Yeah, well, we're right around each other every week, so it doesn't really matter. Barron Speedway, our good buddy from the west side of the state, he got 240. He had a nice day. Then Justin 713, and then Freight Train 295 is your top 3. Overall standings, really quick. Bear with me. Freight Train's still out front. He's got a little bit of a buffer now over Ranger Runyon, then Denny the Many, and Justin 713, and then me and you, Eric. I've got about 120 points on you, 122 points on you now, though. So that's good. I'm feeling good about that.
Well,
playoffs are coming.
I'm hurting on starts for some drivers.
Me too.
I'm packing Jimmy Johnson in this weekend. I'm hoping he's going to earn me some stuff. I got plenty of starts for him.
I'm just using them all up, and then when the playoffs get here, I'll figure it out.
I know I'm out of Harvick. I think I have.
I got a Harvick in me, so
I think I have 1 Chase Elliott left.
Daytona's nice because you can kind of spread it out a little bit too coming up. So yeah, this is gonna be a tough weekend. Don't forget to set your lineups because
Yeah.
And who knows if the app's gonna work for you anyway.
Right.
So figure it out.
There you go. James, I see you got a shout out this week. What you got?
Yeah, I just saw a picture from GoPro Motorplex down in Mooresville, North Carolina. Jimmy Johnson and Lake Speed battling it out on some go-karts.
Nice.
So go check them out.
Jimmy Johnson and Lake Speed, huh?
Yeah, Lake Speed. Well, I've driven go-karts on the GoPro Motorplex before, which is pretty cool that I raced out there on the karts, and Jimmy Johnson's out there quite a bit, so I just thought that was cool. I wanted to share that. I put the link in the show notes too. So yeah, Lake Speed. Pretty neat.
How old is Lake Speed now?
Oh God, he's got to be pushing 70 now, isn't he? Maybe? That might be too old. I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'd have to look up on Racing Reference, see how old Lake Speed is. But yeah, he was racing. I mean, he drove the Spam car in the early 90s.
Well, he filled in for Davey.
He did fill in for Davey, yeah.
Lake Speed was born in 1948.
Oh, boy. Wow. Yeah.
Anything else, James, on shoutouts?
Nope, that's my shout out this week.
All right, I got two I want to throw out there, and the first one I'm throwing out there just because you just mentioned him as in the fantasy league. But Barron Speedway, our buddy, has the 164 or I think it's 164 scale racetrack that he's got. We've been following his progress all along. He posted a photo yesterday, I think it was, or today.
Yeah, I commented on it because it was pretty cool. Because
Yeah.
I remember when he only had a handful of pictures on that account. So
Yep.
that's cool to see how far he's come.
So the picture is of the track when he first built it and what it is today, and he's just done some amazing stuff. He's got landscaping outside the turns now. He's got a fan zone. He's got grandstands with people in it.
5 monster truck, which I was excited about.
Yeah.
That's right in my wheelhouse, dude.
But I mean, there's people in the stands, which we don't even have at Cup races right now. He's got suites with glass in the windows, everything. It's awesome. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Catch fence.
It's just BA, man. BA.
Yeah, he's done such a good job with that thing. It's cool. We
Yeah.
shot him out from time to time, and he deserves it.
Yeah, definitely. All the credit. Check him out on Instagram, Barron Speedway, BEHREND Speedway, on Instagram. Check out his progress. I think he's on Twitter too. So check that out for sure. And then the other one I had, which was my original shout out, is the past week there's been 2 episodes put up on Kyle Busch's YouTube channel called Brex, and it is chronicling Brexton Busch's quarter midget career. And it's been pretty fun so far. It's interesting to see.
Next great Busch.
Yeah, it's fun to see. It's fun to see Kyle in dad mode. He's just as irritable as you'd expect, and Brexton. I mean, he's a kid. It's just funny. It's good to see. Brexton's got all the good equipment. He's the youngest sponsored driver in the KBM Motorsports stable now. I saw that announcement this week. I forget what the sponsor was that he got, but he's officially sponsored now. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's cute. As a parent, it's neat to see. I always like seeing Kyle in his personal side because he's a completely different person away from the track. But of course, he's at the track for this, and he's still grumpy. But it's Kyle. It's good stuff. So
yeah,
fun to see. And I mean, again, as a dad, seeing Brexton get his chance to go out there and go racing, see how confident he is, and then he gets in the car and he's not so confident anymore. It's cute. It's fun to see. So
yeah, whatever happened to Jeff Gordon's son Leo? Is he still running around? I don't know. I haven't seen much on. He was driving for a little while.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but that'd be cool someday. When we're older, still watching racing. We've got Gordon and Busch and all those guys back out there still running.
Yeah,
I mean,
cool.
that'd be cool to see those names still trickling through, kind of like Chase Elliott.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
All right, James, where can they find you on social media if they want to chat with you during the week?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is www.thesuperspeedway.com. You can find podcasts on there, links to old episodes, links to the show notes, all the articles we discussed today. You can check those out, or just go to jski.com because that's where we pretty much pull all of them. Or I do anyway. James does the notes. There's a lot more work put into it. When I do them, it's just scroll through Jski. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and SoundCloud, wherever you found us today. We hope you subscribe and continue to listen. And if you want to become a part of the show, you can help us out at Patreon, or you can become a patron at patreon.com/thesuperspeedway. Did I miss anything, James?
I think you nailed it, bud.
I think we did.
You got it.
Lots of racing this weekend. It is the Dryden 311, 2 doses of that Saturday and Sunday. The Dryden 200 Saturday and Sunday with the Xfinity Series. We got 200 miles in the Truck Series on Friday. We got the ARCA Menard Series East on Friday as well. And we've got the Indy 500 on Sunday. If you guys are race fans and you can't find something to watch this weekend, then it's either raining or you didn't look hard enough. So,
Todd going to the track?
What's that?
Todd going to the track this week?
I don't know. Is Todd going to Dover? I can't remember if Todd's going to Dover or not.
Dover, it'll rain.
Yeah, probably. So, like I said, lots of racing this weekend. We'll be back next week at some point to talk about it, break it all down. And until then, everybody, let's go racing.